Welcome back to Everything in Between. I'm here with Anthony. He's in the group chat I'm always talking about, and he's here to share his story. And Anthony, if you want to start from wherever you want to start from.
Yes, sir. What's going on? All right. So, wanted to share my, story and experiences with anxiety, being, agoraphobic, as you guys would say, and a lot of things in between. So, I guess, mainly to start, I guess for me, I really started experiencing like anxiety, I believe, at the age of like 13, maybe 14. Um, I was really, just kind of doing a whole bunch of things in between with like weed and smoking and a whole lot of things that I probably shouldn't have been doing at such a young age. But that to me was a big part of why, anxiety hit me. And, that's kind of where it all really started, where like, have a bad trip over it and, just being surrounded by the wrong people and just, doing all the things, I guess, not the best way. So I guess that's kind of where my anxiety started from there. And then moving forward, once I graduated eighth grade and stuff, I think it was the summer, or maybe like even you could say the month before, um, my freshman year of high school. I was out with my sister and her boyfriend at the time, and we were in front of one of the old buildings I used to live at, and it was like 8:30 at night. Wasn't the latest thing, and it was like summer, so it was kind of some people out, some people not, still kind of light out. But then there was an incident where I'm assuming that I didn't know at the time, where my sister's boyfriend was affiliated gang wise, and I had no clue, I had no idea. So then it turned into one of those situations where you were, especially for me and for her as well, just wrong place, wrong time with the wrong person. So one thing led to another after being out, and then we ended up being involved in like a drive-by shooting. And thankfully, none of us got hit. There wasn't you know anything too severe that happened. I ended up getting grazed, and then I think I sprained my ankle or something like that. And I don't think anything for my sister had happened, or the her boyfriend at the time as well. So at least for me, I'm pretty religious, so I say thank God for that. So could have ended a lot worse in my opinion, but that is really what kind of started the whole being afraid to be out, especially even what, like 5 years later now, still being in relatively the same area, and still having violence go on and stuff like that. So that would be kind of the starting point of where I would avoid wanting to be out, especially just in general, during the day, during the night, alone, over everything else. So that's kind of where that all stems from. And yeah, it was really, really hard just trying to get over that. And I think even harder not having, um, I guess you could say, the help that you needed to kind of get through something like that, and also the support from family and friends. Because I would say throughout that whole experience, I was more just mocked for it. I had numerous of people telling me, like, at one point even, I had someone tell me like, "Oh, I hope you go and get shot at again and they hit you," and things like that. And that's really something that I don't I don't think anybody wants to hear, especially at such a young age and just in general. And I had a lot of other people throughout the years of my life mock me for it, or telling me that they would, if that was them, they would have done this, or got revenge, and they wouldn't have taken that and stuff in that sense. And just kind of as if it was a big joke to them, and it wasn't a joke. It's something that really sticks with you forever. So that's kind of the starting point for when things kind of went down here from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy to say from, people making fun of you or whatever, saying that they would have
Yeah,
done
of
something different when they haven't experienced that themselves. Like,
course.
when you're in the moment and the threat's there, there's no
Mhm.
telling how you're going to react. And
Of
I can
course
only
not.
imagine, like, when I go outside, I'm just
Mhm.
afraid I'm going to get passed out. I'm not actually afraid I'm going to get shot. So It does seem
Yeah.
like there's a real aspect to your fear because a lot of the time anxiety, for the most part, it is in our head.
Yeah.
And, you have something real to actually be afraid of. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of like you said, it's like especially everywhere in the world, violence is a real thing. Gangs are a real thing. People are shooting everything from children to grown adults, from older people. Like it's crazy. There's so many things going on, and not only are you just afraid to be out in general, but you add that extra factor of, will I make it home today? Am I gonna live to see another day, or am I gonna get shot at? And I'm not gonna get lucky this time, or I won't be, as fortunate and protected to where they won't hit me, and this time they will. Or you just never know what people are capable of. You don't know on the opposite side of what that other person's thinking. If they see you as, oh, is this person a gangbanger, when I myself have never been someone who's a gangbanger. I'd never involved myself with people who were in gangs and stuff like that. And that's why it always goes back to, with the wrong person, I had no idea what they did or who they were with at the wrong time, not really knowing anything about them. And yeah, scary, very scary,
do you
to say the
often
least.
do you often hear shootings where like just out your window or?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say so. They just had this fiesta over here, and there was a lot of fights. I think they were shooting maybe like around the corner from me. I think they were also shooting like there. It's kind of ongoing, and with the, at least in my neighborhood, with the prices going up of rent, and the neighborhood in a way being gentrified or whatever, it's still not the safest place to be outside. They're still shooting. There's still gangs coming in and out. You can, if like, I'm not sure how many times out of 10 you'll see it, but at least for me, when I was just sitting outside the other day when the fiesta was going on, you could see like the gangbanger cars and people throwing up signs and this and that. So it's really scary.
How,
It's not something like, they're still there. They're still around.
how often do
So,
you think you hear gunshots? Is it daily? Is it weekly?
um, I would say it's like every few days or so. I mean, I'm kind of in the area where I'm not saying like my street is safe, but it's always like down the block or on the other side of the street, kind of, or around the corner even. But at least for me, where I'm at right now and where I'm living, it's kind of been, relatively safe. There's a lot of people usually outside, and I haven't really heard nothing as close as like, oh, it's right in front. But I'm also in the basement and all the way in the back, so it's kind of, you don't really hear much too often. So,
So you mentioned, having a bad trip, smoking weed and getting high, and maybe
hmm
having a panic attack. That's what happened to me. I used to smoke every day, all
hmm
day, and video games
yeah,
will never be as fun.
hmm
Um, but I've been clean for 12 years. I didn't ever want to feel like that ever again. When's the last time
proud of
that
you.
you smoked?
The last time I smoked was actually the night I got shot at. I believe I was like secondhand high, or I was smoking as well, at least a little bit. And it was all three of us, and like I remember at that exact moment I was like, I don't really feel too good. I might, quit after like tonight, And then right as I said that, maybe like 20 minutes later, that's kind of when we started walking towards the front of the house, and then that's when the drive by and they started shooting, and then you know everybody came out frantically. I remember us, or at least according to my sister, after all was said and done, she told me that I pushed her to the floor, and she didn't get hit, and then like I mentioned before, I got grazed, so we were good in that sense. I think there was like a couple bullet holes in the window where one of the ladies was living, and she had like I think she had a baby as well at the time. I'm not sure how many kids, but I know she had a newborn. So it's also scary in the sense because like not only they're shooting at us, three people that are not really doing nothing except the one that was affiliated, but or prior to that, but also like this innocent person that has a newborn baby right there. She could have got shot, or her child could have got shot and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and at the time, I think they thought I did get shot, but they weren't sure. But they didn't like see nothing, and I think some were saying no, some were saying yes, and I was like, I don't think I got shot. But then they kind of saw this marking, which was the grazing. But
Where were
thankfully,
where were you grazed?
I think it was kind of near my chest a little bit, which is odd that I didn't get hit. and I wasn't really too sure why or like how, aside from at least in my sense, God, you know,
You know, you
how
might
I got grace, but it didn't hit me.
you might be Superman. It could have, just hit you and bounced
I
off. You never know.
I have that. Hey, if that's the case, then that's something. But I really don't know what it was or how it was just like a marking right there. If the I don't know if the bullet, if it was like the shell of it. I don't really know what it was, but all I know there was a little marking, and then I just hurt my leg. So that's pretty much it.
It does seem like us agoraphobics have this giant traumatic thing, like one
Mm,
thing we can point back to, and it seems like you
yeah.
said, the first time you experienced the fear was, getting high and having panic attacks, but
Hmm.
your big moment was also getting high and then also getting shot at. So,
Yeah.
like your original fear coupled with your worst fear, have you been housebound since that moment, or?
So basically when I first, had the bad trip, I was outside alone and I was kind of like panicking and not really knowing at the time what a panic attack was and freaking out and, the bad trip and everything. So that's also kind of what stemmed from hating being outside alone because I'm afraid. I'm like, oh, what is this I'm feeling? This is weird, stuff like that. But I wasn't housebound completely then, so I stopped going out after I did get shot, maybe for like a month, and but I was kind of in and out. I had friends trying to like help me and push me to get out, which was nice, but I was still scared. There was a lot of instances where like I would be out alone after hanging out with some people and no one to walk me back home with me or nothing like that. So I remember, feeling myself freaking out, after like maybe I was like 15 during the time, just from being alone. Cause I'm like, oh my God, what if, I'm all alone by myself? What if someone comes and shoots me or just that, just being afraid kind of thing. But I wasn't completely housebound then. I was more kind of just in and out, but I was still able to go out freely and everything was kind of good. And then maybe like a year or so later, when I was 16, I had met my other ex that I have a son with now, and she really helped me in a sense be safe going out, be comfortable getting out again, and we used to go out everywhere. She really pushed me to where I could be with her and go out in the morning, in the night, everywhere in between, and just all around. And it was good for most of the time, I would say. And the sad thing with that is we had a lot of instances where she would, get, you know, um, I guess like upset in a way where like she would just for whatever the reason would be, she would kind of like run away, which is, it sounds really odd, but it's true. She would just, whatever, if even for the littlest things of us being outside with, my friends or her friends or whatever, she, whenever she would get upset, she wouldn't like come and talk to me. She wouldn't like step away. She would completely just run away and disappear. And that housebound started again when she did that. And I was like freaking out. I remember panicking all over again, not knowing where the hell she was. And she was missing for hours upon end, not answering her phone. I had no idea where she was. And I remember freaking out and panicking and being alone once again outside, looking for her and just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And that's kind of where all of that took place again, where I was like, damn, I'm afraid to go out again in general. And now this time, even with her. So that's kind of, you know, where that started, of where I was like, I'm really afraid to be outside. I don't feel comfortable. Nothing feels real. Things are just weird. And it's crazy that it was that experience that really, was the deciding factor for it, but it was. And yeah. Um, so when she did that, I obviously found her after that, and she was apologizing because, she noticed I was like freaking out, and obviously like what do where did you go, are you okay, why would you do that kind of thing. And as much as I wanted to be housebound at that time, I also couldn't, because we were, at least me and my dad at the time, were on the verge of being homeless. So I didn't really have a choice. I remember being afraid. I remember packing boxes. I remember couldn't really going out, but I still forced myself to, because I knew that the worst was yet to come, and that we were going to be homeless soon, because he was doing all the wrong things when it came to rent, when it came to, at least at the time, my brother was living with us, and he was like 40 something years old and he wasn't paying any rent. They didn't do all the right things when it came to speaking to the landlords and making sure everything was good and trying to get an agreement. They were more fighting with them rather than trying to work out something. And ultimately, that ended up, having us become homeless, like I told him. And, I'm 16 at the time. I know people that are younger, they tend to not know what they're talking about in a sense, or it's hard for adults to really hear them out and, their voices in that way. And that's kind of how it was with my dad. It was always like an everyday battle with him trying to get him to understand and, let him know like, hey, you're not doing these things the right way. We're going to become homeless and we're going to end up on the street and who knows where after that. So, as much as I wanted to be housebound, I couldn't because we were going to be homeless. So I pushed myself. I remember just packing and still finding a way to get everything ready and just kind of, you know, having to live with that acceptance of like, we're going to be homeless and I'm only 16 years old. And at this point, I already dropped out of high school. So everything was already going downhill from there.
And there's this saying, respect your elders. Like,
Yeah.
adults have,
Mhm.
all
I've
the
heard
right,
that
all
all
the,
too well.
yeah, it's, I hate that. I hate when I'm given a non-reason, as in, like,
Mhm.
do what I say just because I tell you to,
I
or that
agree.
I'm older than you. But,
Mhm.
I think every adult in the world knows an adult that is older than them that is just ridiculous. Um,
Yeah, I think no matter what your age is, no matter who you're speaking to or who the person is, I think if you're giving respect to one person, that has to be reciprocated in the same way. So if I'm giving you respect, show me it back. I don't care if I'm 14 years old talking to someone who's 55. If I'm being respectful to you, do the same to me, no matter what the age is, you
and
know?
you might even have the right answer. That 50-year-old might have no idea what he's talking about. There are plenty of stupid
Yeah,
people in the world.
very true.
So,
Hmm.
how long were you homeless for?
So we were homeless for around like I think it was a few weeks to a month. We were kind of just
Like,
kind of looking for places to go. My dad had some money that I guess he saved because he wasn't paying rent. So we kind of stood in like a couple hotels and just friends' houses, at least for me and my ex at the time as well, because she was also living with me. So we were kind of like bouncing around from house to house and just trying to find places to go. And then at one point, my aunt, she was like, well, obviously you guys have nowhere to go, so you might as well just stay here because I'm not going to have you guys on the street, which, God bless her soul. She's not doing too well right now, but if it wasn't for her, we probably, I don't know where we would be. So, but she was, willing enough to let us come into her house, and it was three of us at the time. And from what we found out later, my ex was pregnant as well, but none of us knew that up until we were already homeless, and we found out like 2 months later. But um, yeah, she was like, she already had kind of maybe like little to no space in her house. Maybe there was already 4 or 5 people living there, if not more. So she was like, I'm still gonna take you guys in because you guys have nowhere to go. So
and how
that's
how
kind of.
how old were you during that time?
I was 16, I remember. So we became homeless on Halloween, actually, the day of Halloween.
Trick or treat.
Um, yeah, real trick or treat. And I think that's when we became homeless officially. I was still 16, and we moved in with my aunt around November, kind of during the time of my dad's birthday, I think, which was like November 11th, if not later. I'm not really sure when we moved in with her officially, but we were kind of just back and forth. So,
And
but
how long
yeah,
did you stay with your aunt until you are now?
we we were there up until, let's see. So we moved there 2019. We were there up until July 2021, I think. Yeah, I would say I think it was July 2021. Um, so obviously, to everyone's surprise and to, as much as it was hard for them and everything in between, my ex was pregnant and we were having a son, and my family hated me for it and she wanted to keep him, and we didn't really have any other options, and that sparked a lot of problems at the house. And I completely understand why, especially since it was her house and she was so nice to have open arms with us and say, hey, I want to take you guys in, this and that. But I was the last person to expect that, she was going to be pregnant, and I was irresponsible at the time. I was 16. Obviously, you know, you do what you do, you pay the consequences for it, and that's kind of what happened. And you're not safe with it. You end up with a kid, and that's kind of what happened. And it really did. I'll speak more about it, but there was a lot of problems that sparked up until the day we moved out officially. So.
And when did you move out officially?
So pretty much during this whole time, I believe my dad and my ex and my son as well, they moved out about July 2021, and my dad was already sick. So throughout this whole process of being homeless, and I would say over the last 3 years, he had cancer. He had liver cancer. He also suffered. I'm remembering now, after going through his charts and all the medication he took. He also suffered with agoraphobia at the time. He had severe anxiety, panic disorder. He had really bad arthritis. He had his own kind of PTSD. He also had a couple of other things. I believe it was dementia, and there was something else he also had. I'm not remembering it off the top. But yeah, he also, he had his own set of problems, and he was getting really sick. So,
Did you go from your aunt's house to where you are now?
so when they moved in July, I didn't immediately go. So there was a whole lot of issues that started with me and my ex, and I was trying my best at the time, obviously raising a son and having my own set of problems as well. But they ended up moving because I told her, I was like, it's gonna take me a while to get up and leave the house. I'm gonna do it though, but I'm gonna give you and my son and my dad the chance. Go move in now. I'll get there, at some point. I will get there. And then we had this agreement where, like, oh, she'll come in, every so few days or even the day after to come and help me and make little by little progress, and just at once, once and for all, just go for it, kind of thing. Like, oh, hey, let's go, time to
Right.
go. But it was the day that they did move, when she left and they were all here, where she kind of came out of nowhere with this whole I don't want to be with you thing, this and that. And then that's kind of where I got information from my aunt and the people around me and some of my other friends that were noticing that she was with one of my childhood best friends that I grew up with, that was kind of in the picture the entire time. And I did not see that coming. I don't know when that started or how that became a thing, but it went from I'm gonna help you, and then obviously from us getting this place, I was the main one looking. I was the one making the calls and putting in all the things that we needed to, and really getting the landlord and the owner, you know, to give us a chance. And from what I'm assuming, whatever it was, from him just talking to me on the phone and just kind of video calling with him and explaining to him the situation, I guess he could either he took a chance or he could tell that I had good intentions and we just needed one chance and a place to find, for ourselves in a house. Because also during this time, the building that my aunt was staying at, we all had to get out of from there because they were selling the building. So
So you are now at the place that you can
yeah,
like.
now I'm at the original place that we all were supposed to move into. But it took me up until from they moved in July. I didn't come here until October of last year. So it took me a while, but there were so many things in between. My dad was real sick from hearing about her and the other guy, and I was already probably at the worst I could have been at, mentally and just physically. And she, my ex, I don't put nothing on her, but she wasn't the biggest supporter. None of my family were supportive. They didn't understand. It was kind of like one of those things, like, he's crazy. And my ex was, she went through a lot. There's a lot to deal with, a lot for one person to handle, but she wasn't the greatest person about things, and she said and did some really bad things that also derailed my own progress. And I was, now I know that I was my biggest enabler as well, aside from her, because I didn't do nothing to help myself, and I didn't take those steps that I needed to do to get out. But it was a working progress. But yeah, I'm
So
now at the place now.
so do they? Does anyone live with you?
No, currently no. So I had moved here in October, and then obviously, with everything that's happened between us and everything that kind of, transpired between me and my ex, and then my dad's already sick, basically dying in a sense. So everything was already downhill. I stood in the, we were all in the same house for like 2 weeks, and I kind of just agreed with her, like, hey, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Because she was with the other guy, but he was not here, obviously, as I got here, but he was prior to that. Um, and we kind of had an agreement, like, oh, we'll co-parent, see how it goes, whatever. I stood out of her business, she stood out of mine, but there were still issues that sparked. She had this house probably in the worst condition she could have had it at, and I don't blame her because I know taking care of a baby and having the house clean and doing everything in between is a tough job. It's hard. It really is hard. But she also had maybe 5 to 10 people, family, friends, mixture of everybody to help her do these things, and it still was not clean. The room, at the time was so bad that I had the landlord contact me when I first got here, and he's like, "Why is the room like that? What's going on? I gave you this chance," and that made me look bad. So I made sure no matter what it took to get everything clean. I remember just cleaning the entire house and fixing everything up, and it was truly horrendous. There was garbage everywhere. There was flies. There was just everything in between. Everything was dirty. It was gross. And my aunt at the time also remembers seeing it and telling me about it. And compared to then to me cleaning it up, and then during that 2 week process, I was cleaning, I was cooking, I was also taking care of my son, and I was also taking care of my dad, all at the same time, which sounds impossible, but I still was doing it. But I wasn't even fully well myself during that time. I was not at the point I'm at now. I was still struggling myself. So it was hard, but I had to do it. And with, I think there was one specific issue where she didn't want me to clean her room or something, or to like help her. Because I offered, I was like, hey, you can clean your room. I won't, not gonna touch it, but you got to get it cleaned up because the landlord's telling me about it. He's on my ass, as he should be, because he's giving us this opportunity and this chance to, hey, here's your house. I'm gonna give you guys the benefit of the doubt, and you're gonna do that to that. You don't do that to people that are kind enough and willing enough to give you those chances. You can't leave it a mess, and you can't have and obviously from what everybody else was telling me and from what I saw, almost like the room was a hazard to keep 1-year-old baby in there, because that's how bad it really was. So once I brought that up to her, it started this whole, thing and this whole issue to where she got physical with me, and she actually put her hands on me, which wasn't the first time that happened. But I walked away from it, of course, as anybody would be, pissed off more than ever. But I remember that same day where she hit me. I think it was in the back of my head. And I remember storming to my dad's room and telling him, like, hey, tell her, to get out of here, because like I'm not dealing with this again. We're not going through this whole, situation again, like we were already doing, and what she was doing even months before to me. So I wasn't about to go through that. And obviously I wasn't like, oh, tell her to get out. I was literally like, oh, tell her to get the fuck out. I'm not dealing with this shit, stuff like that. So yeah, and then and after that day, she left. She took my son with her, and since that day, I've not seen my son. So yeah, that's kind of how that all went about. So.
There are a lot of people in the world that can't accept fault. Like if you say something that they did wrong, they sort of just lose their mind, and
oh yeah,
that's why I try to forgive everyone. Like there's so many people that I've met that like can't do wrong and will never apologize and are just perfect. And if you don't think so, then fuck you. That's their attitude.
Yeah,
so
true.
If someone has the ability to own their stuff, I forgive them. Like I hate that.
I think growth is a big thing, and if you're able to, even if no matter how long it takes, if you're able to know where you went wrong and take accountability for it and apologize, then that's great. But if you're just gonna stay in that same mindset where you could do no wrong and everyone's the bad person around you and you're this angel on earth, then that's never someone you want to be around. That never ends well for anybody, to be honest.
So how long has it been since you've seen your son?
So that would be October 18th would be the last time I officially saw him, because that was the last day she was here. And so then she took him.
Is she refusing to bring him?
Okay. Yeah, she's pretty much refusing to bring him and everything like that. I've tried everything from in between with lawyers and things like that. Obviously, maybe not everyone knows, but lawyers are really expensive, and when it gets nasty like that, when it comes to custody and visitation rights and things like that, it gets expensive. The kind of expensive that I don't have at this point in time. And especially with all that going on, I couldn't focus on getting my son back or trying to get rights or going to court and lawyers and this and that, because during that whole thing, my dad was getting worse. He was already sick, so I had to center my focus and shift it to him more, because he was getting worse as the days kept going by. He was already really sick. There was just everything in between. And then, he ended up passing away. So it's like one thing after another, kind of. And I'm this one person who's agoraphobic, who has limited to no family, not many friends, and now my dad's passed away. Where are you going to get money to pay rent, to pay bills, to pay this, to pay that, to get a lawyer, to do this, to do that? Like, that is virtually impossible. So, as much as I want to see him, I know I'm not able to at this point, because I don't have the money to get a lawyer. And she, even to this day, isn't letting me, doesn't want me to, whatever it is. I don't know, but yeah. So
Sorry to hear about your dad.
that's okay. I appreciate that.
Now, I don't talk about this too much, but
No, you're fine. Go
a
ahead.
long time ago, I had a fiance, and we were together for maybe 8 months, and that might feel like a short time for her to be my fiance, but
Mhm.
I was having a lot of feelings, and she always had court appointments and
Mhm.
dentist appointments at like 6 o'clock at night. She would never let me
Mhm.
see her phone. She was
Mm.
super sketchy, and
Red flag.
one
Mhm.
day I discovered by looking at her phone that there's a contact in there that says "my baby," and it's not me.
Oh.
So
Mm.
I called the guy, and we're both working together. I met her at work, and
Mhm.
I'm like, "Is this your girlfriend?" He's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Well, this is my fiance," and I hung up on him, and I go to her, and I'm like, "How could you do this? I thought you loved me," and
Yeah.
this, I'm 5'6", 120 pounds, and this like
Mhm.
6 foot monster shows up at my work looking for
Uh-huh.
me, and
Oh wow.
he goes over to her, and she points to me,
Mhm.
and he walks right by, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," and then
Mhm.
she goes off and is crying, and
Mm. Of course.
anyways, I end up getting fired from that job because she said to our boss that we were never together, and she didn't know what I was
Wow.
talking about, and I was harassing her. I found out a year later because she blocked me and everything, but
Mhm.
I didn't even know how I saw it, but I saw it on Facebook, a picture of her
Mhm.
with a baby, and she's Mexican, and so is the guy
Mhm.
who she was cheating on me with, but the baby looks
Mhm.
like me,
Oh
and
wow.
I messaged her, and it took me like 2 hours of talking to her to get her to admit that that was my son. And
Mhm.
um, I got to see him a little bit, like
Mhm.
maybe once a month. And
Mhm.
this was before I was agoraphobic.
Mhm.
But after I asked to see him more, she just blocked me and everything. And so she has family in Mexico.
Mhm.
Um, she basically told me if I ever tried anything, which
Mhm.
obviously I'm in a similar situation to you where, I can't really, I don't have too much legs to stand on as far as like going to court and fighting that fight. But,
Of course. Yeah.
um, yeah, I haven't seen my son in 8 years, so I definitely know the feeling.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that, especially being cheated on. It's never the best feeling in the world, and it's never something that anybody wants to go through, especially heartbreak. And even more so now, even more sorry that you haven't been able to see your son in 8 years. I know, that no matter what it is, and no matter how much time passes, it kills you on the inside, and it hurts. So I'm really sorry that you had to go through all that.
Just because we're on the subject and, people may listen to this. If
Yeah.
someone is going through heartbreak, and I don't even know if you are yourself, but the only way I was ever able to get over like heartbreak is I've definitely
Hmm.
had that quite a few times. I
Hmm.
right now I sleep on my stomach, and
Hmm.
I sleep on my stomach because like the amount of pain that I experienced like losing
Hmm.
people, my heart
Yeah.
would hurt and I could not
Yeah.
sleep. So I put pressure on my heart to fall asleep.
Hmm.
Um, and my heart doesn't hurt anymore, but I still do it. It was that bad. Like, um,
Yeah.
but
I definitely get it.
the idea that I had that I finally was able to get over, like, my exes or whatever, or losing love was
Yeah.
that the person I loved, we would say things like, we would be there forever, or, it was real and we love each other and that we'd be there no matter what. And,
Yeah.
the fact that we're not, the fact that like one day I could be everything and the next day nothing,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, the person I loved basically doesn't exist. Like,
Yeah.
the idea I had of this unconditional love where we'd be together forever, that's
Mhm.
not who they were. So, like, the
Yeah.
person I'm missing and heartbreak for,
Mhm.
that person's not real. And the person that you're seeing, on social media or whatever, your ex,
Yeah. Mhm.
you don't even know who that person is. Like, and maybe you do,
Yeah.
but it's not
Mhm.
the person you loved. And
Yeah. And yeah, and truthfully, I understand 100% what you're saying with heartbreak and stuff. At least for me, um, uh, obviously the heartbreak was there, but at least for me, I found comfort in, it took a while. It still hurts, obviously, but I found more comfort and closure in the sense of, look what they did to me, look how they treated me, look what they said to me, look at all these things that they put me through, all because they're that kind of person. So that's kind of what for me made me or helped me move on and kind of forget about her. And at least now I'm confident to say that that love for her is no longer there. But at the same time, the only love that I do have is for my son. So in my mind, I know that I never have to worry about feeling this way for that person, and that hurt will always be there. Seeing her with my childhood best friend is one of the like craziest things you could see, and it's like, what the fuck,
right.
like, wow, it's crazy. And at the same time, it's also, it's like wow, I can't believe that they put me through that, and this is how they are. But that love, definitely died out, and I know that I truly, I'm way better off without her in that sense, and I don't want to be associated or imagine a future with that kind of person that she is, and I'm not trying to demonize her and make her out to be this awful person, but she isn't and hasn't done the greatest things to me and things in general, but for heartbreak, I'm more going through a different kind of heartbreak with someone else that I had met in a different way, in an entirely different way, and one that actually hurt me more than what my previous ex did, which is odd, but I can get into that as well later on. So
Yeah, I mean, relationships are hard.
love is hard, yeah.
Yeah, love is very hard. Like, my whole
Love.
life, like, I didn't really pay attention in school. All I cared
Mm-hmm.
about was relationships and friendships, and
Yeah, I feel you.
um,
Mm-hmm.
love is all that matters. So, like, that was, you didn't see me. I didn't graduate high school. I never had
Mm-hmm.
a real good job. I was always trying to find, you know,
Love.
yeah, the happily ever after, true love,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, and
I,
know,
f-
peop
trust me after that.
it's hard to find nowadays. Everybody's sleeping around, and it's hard to find
Yeah,
something real. A lot of people are
yeah,
distracted.
yeah. It's hard to find someone with pure intentions and good intentions at that, and someone that is looking for something real and long lasting. And you know, love is something that it sounds stupid probably coming from someone who's 19. You're like, oh, I haven't experienced shit yet, but I've experienced my own set of heartbreak, and where you feel like there's times where you can't breathe and you're like, wow, this hurts. This is killing me slowly, physically, mentally, emotionally, and everything all around. My world is crumbling down. And that might sound dramatic to some people, but it really is something that kills you in every way possible. And love is a special thing. It's great, but it also hurts so much, especially when it doesn't go the way you want it to. And especially if that person, like you said, you once thought so, high about, and someone you thought would be with you forever, and they turn into this person that you couldn't ever imagine them becoming, and that slowly fades away where you're like, wow, I'm no longer with that person, and that person I've might have fell in love with a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 year, whatever the case is, that person's not that same person. There's someone entirely different, and I never really understood that and how people have such change of hearts so fast. That's something I always ask myself, and I never found the answers to. But
I
yeah,
think I think some people are just not in touch with who they are.
yeah,
there's a lot of people that just are not all there, and that's not to say that like if you're
Mhm.
one of those people that you're bad, but
Mhm.
like I personally believe that like love is all that matters, and that your happiest moments in life will be experienced with those
Yeah,
who you
and
love, and you know,
that's true.
meaning
And
and purpose, it all stems from love.
yeah, and I also think love can come in different forms. And at least for now, right now, for me, my biggest thing is self-love because, you know, I couldn't remember a time where I actually was like, hey, I actually love the person who I am. I love, the good intentions I have, the care I have for other people, the way I go above and beyond for everyone else and put everyone, ahead of me because I always did that no matter what. And I think love can come in so many different forms, whether it's from family, friends, whether it's platonic or someone you're truly in love with relationship wise, or just from yourself, from the world, just anything. But yeah, it's a really big and important thing, and that hard to find, but I feel like it's still out there, and I haven't completely lost faith in it because I do know that there's still good people out there in the world with good intentions, and I don't think that everyone's bad. So it's just about timing, I guess. And for
S-
me, whatever God says. So,
since we're
yeah,
on the topic, are you in the
yeah.
dating game right now? Are you fishing?
So for me, I met someone. Crazy enough, I met someone about a month after my dad passed, and it was a girl, and I met her through like I think it was a game, and I was in a group of other people. We were just all playing. It was like a mobile game. I think it was like Call of Duty or something. And we had met, and when I tell you that I never, I always for me questioned, because I would say I'm pretty religious and my faith is strong, and it seems crazy. And I know people call me crazy for it sometimes that your faith can be so strong with everything that you went through in between. But I think that God's timing for me to meet her was so perfect, and it was crazy that how it happened. Just being in a game at a specific time and day, along with her, meeting this person so randomly, and then just connecting with her. It was so effortlessly. It was amazing, and she was such a good person off the bat. And I've met a couple of good people as well since that. From just playing and just talking to people and whatnot. But she was the one that stood out above the rest. And we we talked for months on end, and then we dated, and it was like a long distancing as well, and it was hard, but I really could tell that she was a genuinely good person, and she had a good heart and a good soul, and she helped me in a lot of ways that I never thought that someone could heal me and help me. And sadly with that, I actually ended up repeating my prior mistakes in a different way, where my life became just talking to her, involved with her, and losing myself in the process. But I also saw that she was losing herself. And, she also had her own, deep rooted issues where she didn't feel self love or a purpose for life beyond, whatever she was, whatever was going on with her life, or not really a purpose. And I would say that was probably, one of the worst things to hear. And I did my set of hurt, she said her set of hurt, and just ongoing back and forth, hurting one another. And, you know, it ended really badly. And like I mentioned before, I don't know what it was. I'm not sure what exactly was the reason for it, but that was probably one of the hardest things I had to go through in my life. And I'm still, going through it now because it was just maybe 2 months ago now. So it was recent. It hurt more than, my last ex. And maybe it was kind of everything hitting me all in between, from my dad passing to my son to lack of support from family, friends, and all the things in between to what people did and, how they were with me. But it all hit me at once. And there was a lot of points in the month of June where I didn't want to be in this world. I didn't want to be here. I had no reason to. I was like, this is what I'm going through in like a ongoing cycle. Like, wow, I'm hurt all over again. I'm alone. You know, I'm going through these same problems, and life isn't getting any better. So like, what is the point of me being here? So it took, and it's still taking me quite some time to find my footing and get everything together. But I know in my heart it was the best for her and the best for me. And at least in that sense, I hope at some point when, the two of us heal in our own ways, maybe we'll be able to come back and at least, speak about things and clear the air and kind of be on good terms. Because to me, what's more important than kind of dating someone or being in love with someone or just doing that is to have them in your life, but also to never be on bad terms with someone. Because I don't think there's any need for hatred. I don't ever want to hate someone. I don't ever want to be on someone's bad side or feel like I can't talk to them because of all these things that have happened. That's one thing I never wanted to do with anybody, no matter how much they hurt me. I just kind of like what you said, never forget, but you forgive and kind of move on. So maybe in the future that'll be something that happens, or maybe it won't, but I just keep it going from here for myself.
Something I always say, and you might not want to hear this, but
Oh, you're good.
long distance relationships will never work, and there's a reason. One is either you break up, so it's over, or
Mm-hmm.
the distance changes. One person will move to the other, but long distance relationships in themselves, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
People need people. Like,
Yeah.
obviously relationships aren't all physical, but you need that.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone to at least hold you sometimes. Like, you need
Yeah.
physical connection. It's I would like, I don't know what your feelings are. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
in the future you're gonna beat your agoraphobia and move to where
Yeah.
she's at. But if that's not likely, I would
Mm-hmm.
suggest not going that route. And I
No, no, for me at least, it's not about getting back with someone or like you said, moving to a different state. Because I'm not about to move my life around for anybody at that. I'm doing this for me and for my sole purpose of being alive and to get my life together. I do agree with you. Long distance is hard. It maybe not, maybe 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10 times doesn't work. I know in some cases it does, but I think it was more one of those things where like, obviously like you said, having communication physically, being with someone, knowing like doing things in person rather than, being long distance over the phone, texting this and that makes it a million times easier. And in that sense, I don't feel like we ever had a fair shot, at trying to be in a relationship because it was long distance. So, like you said, it made it virtually impossible. I wasn't at the best place in my life, even back in, through the months of May and June when things started going downhill. I know she wasn't as well. you know, at least for me, if God says that this person will come back into my life and we get a fair shot at it, then so be it. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. But I'm not really wondering that. I'm not gonna sit here anymore every day wondering, am I gonna be able to date this person again? Will they come back? Will I be in love with them? This and that. As much as it hurts, I know that I'm gonna keep going for me, and that I need to just keep going on with my life. And if things are meant to be, it'll be. But for me, she was always a person that I would rather have in my life just as a person, just to be involved in rather than relationship wise, if that kind of makes sense,
you
just
said
at what, yeah, just kind of like that.
you
But I don't know if that makes
mentioned you mentioned a phrase, and it just sounds like a perfect movie title for internet
sense.
dating. You said
What's
virtually
that?
impossible. That just sounds like a movie
It
of
does. It
a
really
long
does.
distance relationship.
Yeah, it's. I think long distance always works with people who are already in a relationship. But I don't really know anymore because I've had my own experience. I'm with someone every day. Look what happened. I've seen people date and they have everything perfectly aligned. It still doesn't work out. I've seen long distance work. I've seen it not work. People, like you said, cheating, sleeping around. Nobody wants anything real. I just think it all depends on the two people. And at least for me, I'm no longer, and just the same as I did before, I wasn't looking for someone, and I'm not looking for nobody now. And I'm not gonna rely on someone else for my happiness no more. I'm not gonna rely on another person for comfort. I'm just gonna find comfort in myself. And whenever, because like I tell you, I'm really religious. So if God has someone out there for me, if it was my past ex, the one I just went through the breakup with, not the mother of my kid, but if I'm meant to be with her again, then so be it. If I'm not and he has someone else for me, that's great. If he knows that I'm not ready for that, and I know I'm not ready for that, if he knows that I'm not going to be ready for that for months, year from now, maybe a year from now, whatever the case is, then so be it. But I'm going to let him work his ways and have his, plan for me. I'm just gonna do what I know I need to do for me.
So there's a few things there.
Okay.
I myself am not necessarily religious. I'm agnostic,
Hmm.
so
Okay.
I believe that I don't know. Like
There's something. Yeah.
I think that there's some magical component to the world. Like the
Yeah.
food that grows from the ground is good for us. Like I've felt love before. I've felt the magic. I just don't know what it is. But
100%. Yeah, I get that.
there's that saying that you're stranded on an island and
Hmm.
a few boats like show up
Hmm.
at the island and they're like no, I'm good, God will save me. And then when you die and you go to
Hmm.
heaven, God's like, dude, I sent you 3 boats. So there's
Hmm.
you have to take action as well. So
Yep.
um
100%.
as much as you're saying that God will you know
I just no,
you,
no.
you know what I'm saying
I get
there,
what you're
like
saying.
you got to do
No,
it
no,
yourself
yeah.
as well.
I know. I get what you're saying. But for me, at least for me, with what I know that me getting into another relationship, being with another person involved like that, will only derail my progress that I'm trying to find for me right now. I know I'm not ready for that, and I also know that if I get into another relationship with someone else, and I'm not fully over my ex and the hurt that everybody put me through and all this other stuff, I'm just gonna bring that back to the next relationship, get hurt all over again, or even maybe hurt someone else. So I'm not gonna do that in that sense. But for me, I trust me, I get what you're saying. I'm not like I'm gonna sit here and God's gonna
Right,
bring this
right,
random woman and have her walk into my house.
right.
Yeah, not like that. It's more just kind of like a perfect timing thing. Like I'll know when things are right, but I know I'm not ready for that at the moment. I'm kind of like if I meet someone, I talk to them, it happens. If I run into someone, I get introduced, it happens. You talk, it's just kind of one of those things. But it's not. It's more like going with the flow of things. But I'm not gonna force nothing or rush into anything, kind of thing. That's like taking time, taking
That's
your time with it.
that seems
So
like the more admirable and healthy thing to do. Like me,
yeah.
I'm not able to be alone. So when I
Mm.
lost, one of my last, loves, I frickin' searched the damn world to find someone. Like
I feel that. Hmm.
like that's how I was able to even get over my exes. Was like, all right, on to the next one. Like not in like a fucked up way, but just in a way that my heart's empty and I need it to
Yeah.
not be. And
You,
I don't
yeah.
think necessarily I was trying to use people, but I've always, with every encounter I've ever had in that way, I've been
Hmm.
trying to create something real out of it. Like I've never
Yeah.
slept around, but
I agree. No, I get that. I think I think you just have trouble being alone in a
yeah.
sense, whether it sometimes it's not even sometimes obviously I know yourself does and I do as well sometimes, and everybody from the group struggles with just being alone physically and no one's around, you're by yourself, like, oh, this is lonely, this is awful. But that is also a very different feeling than being alone emotionally when you're hurting
Mm-hmm.
and when you're like, damn, I'm alone in the world. And I felt that so many times where I'm like, I'm really alone in the world, I have no one to go to. And then I feel like that's kind of where, you're saying like, oh, I don't want to be alone in that sense. But that's where I'm doing right now, where I'm trying to find comfort in my own loneliness, in my own space. And it's peaceful, it's scary, and it hurts like hell. And, you obviously wish that you could be more involved with people and have more, people around or that person to go to. But at least for me, I know that there's no one better to go to than myself, knowing that I got my own back. And I've let myself down in the past, but I can rely on me now, not someone else. But I can also go to God when I need Him, and I've done that, and He's never let me down before. Because there's a lot of things that where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it out. I don't think this is gonna work out. I don't know how this could possibly get better, and it does with time as I pray, this and that. And obviously, I have a lot of people that aren't religious, and I have friends that aren't, and some believe in this and that and whatever. So I don't really, everyone believes in what their own thing. Whatever works for you, great. Just find peace with that, and if it works for you, that's awesome.
That does seem like the more reliable and stronger route to try to rely on yourself, though it does
Yeah,
seem much harder.
it's it's a struggle. It's like, damn, I gotta rely on me. How am I gonna rely on me if I couldn't do that before? But then I think back, the person I am today is not the person I was yesterday
Mm.
or a year ago or this and that, because I'm slowly growing. I feel myself growing. I know even if when things don't, you know, aren't changing in a matter of seconds, I could feel it changing. I could feel myself changing. I could feel my thought process of things changing. I could, you know, understand things a lot better. And it's gonna be a long process, but at least for me, one person I always looked up to was my aunt, and she has worked every day of her life. She has, she has her, I think she has her own condo. She got her own money, and she is my biggest inspiration aside from my dad because she has never made an excuse where she couldn't go to work. And I think she's 72 now. She goes to work every day, 9 to 5. She's still taking care of my aunts. She walks everywhere. She takes the bus to places. She's never made an excuse. And
Jesus.
she tells me every day, I don't rely on nobody but my damn self, and I'm not codependent on nobody. And she gets up and she relies on just herself, and obviously God too. And then that's kind of where I'm learning from her. And she's like, Anthony, you got a whole life ahead of you, but I'm gonna give you this opportunity and chance to where I want you to become dependent on you and nobody else, because in her eyes, just as I see sometimes as well, I was never given a fair shot to make it in this world. And from my upbringing to all the things I went through, it's been hard, and I definitely didn't have it easy. And I 100% know millions of people out there have had it worse, but it's been a struggle. But I look up to her in that sense, and I want to be like her in that way where I can go out, I rely on me, nobody else, and I can go to work every day, and I got my back, and God's got me no matter what. So.
It's definitely the hero's journey. You mentioned work. How do you a lot of agoraphobics, myself included, I don't have a job. How are you able to
Mm-hmm.
pay the bills?
At least for me, my aunt's really helping out as much as she can with certain things, and also the landlord that I'm talking to, I kind of help him around the building as well with things, and he's been really lenient, just given the situation and everything in between. But I've done my fair share of helping him around the building and doing things little in between, that he would normally have to hire people for and this and that, and it's just upstairs because that's something I can do. And then, like I said, my aunt is also helping as well. And then I had some money saved up, but that only gets you so far. But it's more like a one thing at a time, But my main goal is to go to work because I'm tired of sitting around and not being able to work and contribute as much as I want to. Because my life is my life now. I'm 19 years old. My aunt doesn't have to do anything if she doesn't want to. She doesn't have to help nobody. She doesn't owe anybody a damn thing. But she knows that when she wants to help me, because no one else has, no one else will. And she's been the only one out of my entire family that wants to help. And I know, or maybe in her sense, I don't know if she feels like she owes it to my dad, or she just wants to do it because, she wants to see me succeed, and she wants to, see me do good for my life. And I want to see myself do that as well and make my dad proud. So, and make myself proud, most importantly.
I think you told me that you're in school, right?
Yeah, so I'm doing online school right now. I have there's this program that I'm doing where I take the online classes. I do everything on the computer. So I've been doing that, and it's for high school. So that's gonna be my way to get my diploma. So little by little, working on that.
So, just out of curiosity, what are your triggers? Like your main triggers? Obviously, there's probably thousands, but
Yeah, for sure. So main triggers is definitely weed, just based off of the thing, just not being like, oh my God, I'm high, I'm scared, I'm gonna trip out, this and that. So definitely weed, maybe cigarettes and just smoke in general, but mostly weed.
Don't come to my
Um,
house.
hey, don't worry. Hey, my dad smoked his whole life. He was smoking when I was here. It really did take an effect on him, seeing him how much he had a struggle because he was smoking so much. But I thank God I was able to get him to quit for at least the last month of his life, the last 2 months of his life that he was here, so he could kind of not have trouble breathing and coughing and have this, machine put on him because he literally couldn't breathe. That's how bad how much the smoke was really getting to him, and his lungs and stuff. But so it would be weed. I would say obviously just I don't think it's the outside that scares me. I think it's definitely the unknown of, is this person going to shoot at me? Is this person going to hurt me? Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? More like irrational fears of not knowing what's going to happen kind of thing. That's like a trigger. Just being alone as well is like a trigger when I'm outside because I'm scared. Like, oh, damn, I'm by myself. Like, I don't, kind of like what you said. Oh, you're afraid that maybe you'll faint or something bad will happen. I'm in the same sense where like, damn, if something bad happens to me, I'm on my own, and hell, that's it. But I'm trying to kind of work through that because like I'm alone in this house and I'm good. And if something happens, then what are you gonna do? Ain't no one gonna come save you. But so that's kind of where I'm trying to get that to, apply that to me being outside. Like, hey, you got your bag, you know what you're doing, you know what's going on, kind of thing. And then I think it's called depersonalization or derealization that really hits me. I'm not sure which one is which, but it's the feeling of not being in my own body and not knowing what I'm doing, not feeling like anything around me is real, and really feeling like, wow, this is scary. And that fear is really scary. And I also had like uh, obviously a panic and anxiety disorder as well. So that, having constant panic attacks every day, not being able to, at one point in time, being able to like get up from the bed and leave my room when I was by my aunt's house, that also was awful. Constantly feeling dizzy, not being so germophobic. I didn't want to touch anything. I was afraid of this. I was afraid of that. I'm gonna get sick. This is gonna hurt me or harm me in some way. Like everything in between, was like little by little. But with time of being alone and forcing myself, I've been able to kind of, overcome it and just like, hey, you're good. So those are like probably the main triggers I would say. And yeah, I would say that's like the main things for me.
So you mentioned depersonalization and derealization. From my
Mhm.
understanding, when you look at the man in the mirror yourself and you
Yeah.
don't, he's not familiar to you, that's sort of depersonalization. And derealization is, as you said,
Mhm.
feeling like everything's not real, or, maybe we're in a
Oh,
simulation.
okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. So in my sense, no, I know I could definitely, I would say it's more just a derealization, just like not knowing anything's real. Like, whoa, this is weird. Like, what the hell's going on, kind of thing. But
I, I,
trying to trying to snap myself back into it.
I never experienced derealization until I put on a VR headset.
Ooh,
I
that's
I bought
tough.
one. Well, I got over it. I played all the time, but
Yeah,
when I first
it's good.
started, I would
Mhm.
look at my hands and I would be like after I took it off, and I'm like, am
Mhm.
I even real? Is anything real? Like,
Yeah, they're like that shit kind of scares me. You're like, wow.
especially
Yeah.
moving in there. Like moving in there is weird.
Yeah, I could never do that. I think I used to do it like years back, but no, I always had trouble doing that. That kind of thing scares me. And just the like just height. I'm really scared of heights and stuff like that. So that kind
Oh
of freaks
yeah.
me out. Seeing like roller coaster videos or people driving
Oh
really
yeah.
fast in cars. Like I cannot do any of that
Yeah.
stuff. Awful, awful. So
So for me, at least the way you're describing it, it does feel like you're sort of trapped in a box where
yeah.
your landlord's helping you out, your aunt's helping you out, and so you're
Hmm.
safe inside, but outside is just danger. Do you think if you were able to move, like potentially with family close by, but somewhere where there's not shooting every week,
Uh-huh.
like in a safer neighborhood or city,
Hmm.
that might be the answer?
I absolutely think that if I was, in a safer neighborhood, that might be the start of it as well. But I also think at the same time, I think if I had more people involved in my life where I can, even something as simple as, hey, let's go take a walk. I got you. I can watch over you and stuff like that. Or like, I got your back. I'll make sure you're safe. Something as little as that can go such a long way for me. But I don't have anybody that does that or is willing to do that for me. And obviously, I don't feel like anybody owes that to me, but I just wish I had family, friends, or someone that would want to do those things for me, or just something as small as that. Because something as little as a walk with me and an understanding of like, hey, I got your back in case something happens, can change everything for me. And that's kind of where it comes into where like you can't rely on nobody because, at least from what I witnessed, no one's gonna want to do that for you. No one, just in general, no one might not do that for you at all. So the only person that will do that is me because I have no one else that will want to take those extra steps for me. And maybe at some point I will, but as of right now, I don't. So it's like I don't know if is moving the answer is if I wish I had more family and friends that could have helped, or am I my own answer kind of thing. So it's like I have to work with what I have because if I don't, then I'm kind of screwed all around.
The most reliable and hardest answer is you are the answer, but like
Hmm.
if I was in your shoes, I'd be on Tinder freaking going crazy, bro. I'd be like, I need some goddamn. Well, not, don't be like a
Yeah,
pity
yeah,
party, but like, go find some love, dude. Like, when I met my wife, I was
yeah.
fine. I didn't have anxiety. Everything was good. I had a job.
Mm-hmm.
And a month into us dating, I
Mm-hmm.
was just completely homebound, pretty much.
All right,
And
gotcha.
she's taken care of me for 6 years, and that sounds insane to do for
Mm-hmm.
someone like you just met. Um,
Yeah,
but there are
100% is.
like, it's not that she's a good person, so I'm just like her charity case. She loves
Mm-hmm.
me,
Yeah,
like there's someone out
that's
there
sweet.
who can fill that place in your heart, and you know, it
I
does seem like there's not a lot of people that can do it, and that's probably true. Our situation, especially with agoraphobia,
mm,
it's not an easy one to be in a relationship with, especially if they want to go on a date. Like,
yeah.
that's impossible. But, you know, if it wasn't for my wife and I had gone through this, there's no way I
Mm,
would be able to make the amount of progress that I have. Like,
yeah. I get that 100%. And I think I'm not gonna say you got lucky in a sense, but you
I know
definitely,
I got lucky, 100%.
yeah, you definitely, you were like, oh, if you found someone that was understanding and that understood everything about you and that loved you for you, no matter what came in between. At least for me, right now, I know I owe it to myself to not become codependent on someone else, because that's what I did with my ex before. And I was codependent on her always being there. I was codependent on her being home all the time, and codependent on, even with my son being in the world, codependent on everything that involved her. So I relied on her for everything. If there's no her, my life does not go on. I can't live, I will die kind of thing.
No, yeah, I've
I
been
owe
there.
it to myself. Yeah, exactly. But I owe it to myself to never be that way again. And I owe it to myself to not have to rely on someone to go outside, to be able to make me feel safe. I owe it to myself and to my son as well at some point when I do see him again, to know that the only person I relied on was me and God. And that's why I'm at this point where I've always wanted to be. So, at least for me, as much as it does sound good to be on Tinder and finding that special person, this and that, I'm going to do it for me. And I'm going to find some way around it to where I can be safe going out again. Because I remember a time where I was safe and I felt secure going out and being okay, even if it was 5 or so years ago. I remember being able to get up, go to the store, go to the park, walk around, go back home, and I was fine. So I'm going to find out a way to do that on my own again. And I don't want that person, or have to have that person that I need again and become codependent on them, and then they leave. I'm back to square one. I'm not going to do that all over again. At least that's for me. So,
So, I keep saying this. I do think that your route is the stronger and also harder route. Um,
yeah.
but, a lot of people you feel, or you hear them say, when they get into a relationship that they're guarded, especially at the first, um, times of meeting them or getting to know someone.
Hmm.
I would suggest that if it does happen, not
Hmm.
that you looked for it, but that it does and you're not necessarily over your agoraphobia, make sure
Hmm.
you keep yourself separate a little bit. Try not to
Yeah.
give that person all of you and, put all your eggs in one basket or whatever until you really know. And that's
100%.
hard to do, especially
Hmm.
because there's a lot of good liars out there. There's a lot of good people that are going
Yeah.
to tell you, I'm here no matter
Sure.
what, and then nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
There's gonna be a lot of people that put on a front and tell you what you want to hear, and then the second you get close with them, they leave, and then that's I guess that's kind of what you're saying, where you have to put your guard up and keep your walls up until you really know. But I
I
think no matter what, you just never will really know until that their actions speak louder than words, kind of thing. So it's like all about timing, I guess.
So when you get, happily ever after, find the person that you're gonna be with forever, you still
Yeah.
fight. Like me and my wife fight
Yeah,
all
of
the
course.
time, and
Oh yeah.
there are moments in the fight where like it gets bad sometimes. But I think I've not necessarily done your journey of like finding
Hmm.
myself, because obviously I haven't
Hmm.
beaten agoraphobia. I still have work to do, but I know
Yeah.
who I am, and
Hmm.
I feel comfortable who I am. Like when if me and Journey got into a fight, my wife,
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't lose a piece of myself because
Yeah.
my strength as much as she helps me, and I definitely do get some strength from her,
Yeah.
that's not where it, you know, begins or starts from. Like, I'm pretty confident in myself. Like, obviously not with agoraphobia, but I'm, as you said, you're trying to learn to love yourself and that you're good intentions. And, um,
Yeah.
I try to do the right thing. I try to
Hmm.
forgive people. I try to always, if I can, be there for someone. Like, if you had my phone, you would go through my
Hmm.
messages and you would see that I try not to leave anyone on red. And that's
Hmm.
actually getting hard to do because of, the support group that we're in. And we're talking
No.
to a lot
Yeah.
of people. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I get what you're saying, and obviously, like you said, it doesn't matter, you know, the what person, every relationship is gonna have problems. It's never gonna be happy 24/7. It's never gonna not like there's gonna be times where you fight, you have disagreements, you argue, lack of communication, whatever the issue is, it's gonna happen. And that's what, really is gonna test whether your relationship is real or not, whether or not is it strong enough to get through that? Are you guys both, gonna be level headed enough to understand and communicate and know, hey, this isn't me against you, this is us against whatever problem it is we're going through. And then you go through that together. And there's no denying that, of course, like if anybody's in a relationship and they think that they're never gonna have problems, and they're in for a really interesting awakening, because it's just always gonna happen, and it just depends on the people. But obviously, it all depends on the kind of people that are in the relationship. What are they gonna do when there's problems? Are they gonna go to someone else? Do they cheat? Do they leave? Do they give up? That's when obviously, like other people in relationships, people are abusive, people are manipulative. They say awful things, constant swearing back and forth, just really, really bad. So it all kind of depends on those, two people and whatever kind of relationship you guys are having. So obviously, the best, outcome of it is you guys just sit down after, whatever argument you guys had, come together, figure out, find a way to solve that problem, and make sure that you both know that, hey, you guys love each other. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. So,
We're talking about relationships and
hmm.
agoraphobia and the idea of, like, obviously most of us don't have, um,
Hmm.
you know, an income, and we do depend on our people to take care of us.
Hmm.
Um, I can only imagine someone with agoraphobia that is also in an abusive relationship that,
Yeah.
if they were to try to fight back, or, there is no
Hmm.
escape from it. They
Yeah.
can't leave, and, if they break up with the person, they're homeless, and that
Yep.
just sounds
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah, and yeah, it is, and at least in my sense, when I had issues with the mother of my child, that's kind of it was really, that was during the time where I couldn't even leave a room. So it's like you kind of had to, at least from my sense, you had to put up with it and deal with it. And I had no escape, let
Yeah.
alone escape from trying to get away from the situation, but escape from my own mind and from my own fears and phobias and this and that. So it was hard. And like you said, I know there's probably other people out there that have agoraphobia that deal with really, really bad relationships. And I myself, not really, I don't know if being afraid of being in another relationship is the word, but I know I'm not anywhere close to wanting to be in a relationship right now, or not even close to ready for that. And I'm not going to do the same thing I did again with my most recent ex, where I need that one person to be my sole happiness, my sole focus, and to be my entire life, and then they become your therapist, and then you eventually lose yourself. So I don't want to do that again.
Do
And I
you
know
do you
a
have
lot
a
of people don't want to do
therapist?
it. Currently, no. I did have a therapist at one point in time, but I don't as of right now.
Is there a
She,
is there a reason?
no. So it was kind of like a complicated thing. So there was a therapist that we had, we had like from social services, for me and the mother of my child. So we had her along with some other things as well, like the parenting classes and this and that. So at least with that, when we got all that said and done, we were given a therapist, and then I continued my therapy, with that one therapist. Her name was Ali, wonderful lady. she was also religious and a great therapist as well. But our services ended up, ending because our time was up, and then she also was leaving the place that she was working at as well. But she was definitely probably, I would say, the best therapist I've ever had. She wasn't one of those by the book therapists. She wasn't one of those like, I'm gonna tell you this and that and blah blah blah. She literally she told me what I needed to hear, and she told me that everything that would push me in a sense, like, hey, your life isn't gonna get anywhere if you don't push yourself, if you don't take these risks, if you don't do this, if you don't do that. And she was really understanding. She was helpful. I wish she was still my therapist, but she's not. She hasn't been for maybe like 4 months now.
Is there any chance to get you back on insurance?
Not with her specifically, no. Right now I'm more in the line of seeing doctors and stuff for the agoraphobia, for the panic and anxiety disorder, whether it's for medication or whatever else it is. But there's also, from what my therapist saw, and then from what could be genetics or just anything in general, they've also seen signs for me that is either, it could be BPD or bipolar, since my mom was bipolar. So it's one of those two that could be what I am, or it just might not be. But I'm currently having, sessions with the doctor and trying to figure out what it is, I have, and the exact diagnosis aside from the agoraphobia is, and then, whatever steps they think is right, the therapy or the medication, and I'm willing to try all of it and anything to get me outside. So it doesn't really matter for me.
Is there anyone in your life that could come over and walk with you or take you on a drive that you would feel comfortable with?
Unfortunately, not. No. The only one that would be my aunt, but she's never available because she works a 9 to 5. She's taking care of my other two aunts who are also really sick right now. I don't really talk to many people friends-wise. It's more like a here and there, hey, how you doing thing. The ones that the friends I did have, they really didn't understand, or, they were, also involved with the whole thing with my ex and my son. So not really, no. And then the people that, like I said, the friends that I did have, they don't really understand. So I don't force anybody to understand. So I just kind of walk away from it.
So I saw in the group chat, like maybe a week ago, you and Alyssa were talking. How close is she to you?
I actually do not know. I have no idea. When we were talking, I think she mentioned that her niece, I think I know her niece, or like, I not really know, but my sister was in the same class in middle school as her niece.
I wonder if I talked to her, if she would be open to like coming over and like walking down the block with you or taking you to the nearest restaurant, if you guys would be open to trying something like that, because she's obviously going to be understanding, and that seems like you should at least have someone occasionally attempt to go places with you.
Yeah, I get that. At least for me, I'm really kind of open to anything and everything. Like, I don't really mind, but I'm not also gonna put that on her to where, like,
I'm gonna ask her. She doesn't have to.
I mean, hey, if you want to, you can. But I'm more kind of like I don't like asking people for favors or to put all of it on them kind of thing. But hey, you could do what you can. It's up to you, But so, I'm kind of more just trying to figure it out on my own. Which, like you said, goddamn, this is the hard route. It's impossible, but I got no other options. It's either that or nothing. So I choose that.
So since I've mentioned it, this group chat that we're in, you've mentioned that you're not too open, or you haven't, been too open with the group, or you don't, you feel like you don't really know what to say sometimes, or there's a lot of people talking and you don't want to jump in. Has it been helpful for you at all?
Yeah, I would say so. I think having, just that comfort and like, oh, you guys are there in case something, there is an emergency. But there have been, ever since I've been in the group, there have been, emergency times where I needed someone, and right along the side, right along the time where I did, meet you, and then you added me into the group and whatnot. And thank you for that as well. I was going through that awful breakup where I didn't want to be alive and this and that, but I still refused myself to go and put that out there with you guys and anybody else. Just because I didn't want to rely on nobody. I didn't really want to go through that whole thing of explaining this to people and this and that. And in that sense, yeah. But the group, just it being there and just hearing different people's stories, experiences, kind of the, crazy conversation that everybody's having, talking about the most random things is great. And the group has been beneficial, even if I don't really put in. I try to put in, but I know it's kind of hard because there's so many people talking at once, so many different problems that I don't want to put all my problems out on there, and everyone else is going through their own thing. And I feel like it's kind of like rude, like, oh, I'm having anxiety and someone else is going through this and that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to kind of butt in and kind of, do all that. So it's never really a perfect time to where I want to add in or, help anybody, because I definitely do want to help and I definitely have stuff to say as well. But I normally find you doing it as well and everybody else. But also keep in mind for yourself that that's also, I clearly, as you said, it's taking a toll on you. So you might want to keep in mind, like, hey, when you need a day for yourself, take a day for you. You can't be everyone's savior as well. You need to focus on you as well, because it's a hard task trying to help everyone, because there's a lot of people in that group. I know there's probably even more people messaging you. So keep in mind that for you. But yeah, overall the group has been beneficial to me in different ways. So
I think it would be refreshing, at least for me, and potentially even yourself, to, if you feel something, to say something, or if someone says something in there and you feel like, fuck, I know exactly what the fuck to say to that. Like,
yeah,
there are a lot of people in there that, like, something horrible could be happening, and someone else will jump in and be like, oh, my problems, and that does happen, and some people jump in and say their stuff, and then like don't respond to people and just kind of leave.
I feel like it's bound to happen with so many people. I try to like react to it or try to say something, especially if it's something really severe or something's going on. Otherwise, I'll just kind of like listen in and chime in at least here and there. It is hard, just so many people all at once, and then it's like one thing after another. And then at least for me, I put in, especially if something really severe is going on. But if it's kind of like one of those things where like anxiety, talking about this, talking about that, I'm not really going to be involved, because I myself don't. I feel like that's also kind of a trigger for me, because like my life already evolves around agoraphobia, around having anxiety, having this problem, having that problem. So I don't need that extra reminder. I'm trying to see, the conversations of when everyone's having, where we're having good days. We made some progress. We're doing good, because I've seen all the bad days. I went through the worst. I want to see good. I want to see I'm bigger than my problems kind of thing, That's kind of why I step away from that.
Yeah, when it's silent in there, I like to hope that, that's just because everything's all good. And
yeah, of course. I think everybody, at some point will be collectively busy. So, but I'll definitely make sure to chime in more and put in my 2 cents at least a little bit more than what I have been. And I apologize for not really being as active, but sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go check. I look, react, say something, go back and forth. But I'm mostly working on my school stuff. I'll go take my normal walks, and then just for me, what's been working is working out, because I want to be in good shape to go to work, and just it helps for anxiety and other reasons. So
yeah, it's definitely not a job. I want it to be, if it's helpful for you, use it in whatever way it is, but don't feel like you have to do anything.
No, yeah, definitely. But you should also imply that for you too, though. Keep that in mind, because
I was about to say, if you did jump in more, I might feel a little more comfortable. Taking some time off.
I could definitely jump in more, and maybe some other people that also have been in there longer and also there. It's just that I feel it's weird, because so many people, like the ones that have been in there longest, are the ones having the problems as well. So it's like, ah, shit. I got one person that has a problem, and this person having a problem. So we're just a bunch of people all trying to help each other with our own problems. So, but at least, especially for you, because you're the main one that's helping everyone, you can't help everyone at the same time. You can't be everyone's savior. So take some time for you, because that is a big responsibility, and it's also draining. Yeah. So keep that in mind. It's hard, and I've been there on that side of the spectrum as well, where like I'm trying to help everyone, but not help me. I'm trying to look out for other people, but what about me? Who's there for me when I need someone the most? And of course, they've been there for you just as the same, but you can't always help everyone 24/7, because you need a break yourself from your mind, from your phone, from problems, from anxiety, from whatever it is, just need a break. It's always a good reminder.
The problem is, I talk about how, I'm a financial burden on my wife, and I feel, there's like, obviously maybe I can clean my house and whatever, but there's not too many things in my life that make me feel good. And helping other people or just being there for someone, because I know what it's like to feel like, you know, you're freaking out and no one's there and you're gonna die and
Yeah.
like you can't breathe. And
It's awful. Yeah.
I don't want people to feel like that, especially if they're in my vicinity or they're reaching out to where,
Hmm.
you know, and I see it. I cannot
Hmm.
help myself but to, I want them to feel better. I like,
Yeah. I definitely get that. And I think that's probably where I'm different because I was put in so many situations where I was freaking out and I had no one to go to. So I forced myself to never go to nobody, to find comfort in not, you know, having anybody there for me. So in my eyes, I'm like, oh, maybe that's, maybe that's good that they're like learning to calm themselves down and be okay with that. But at the same time, even I know I want someone there as well that can help me. That is, I know that's got my back. If I'm freaking out, if I need someone to talk to, even if it's just a quick second, I get that as well. But I also think that you don't have to be the only person to do that. I think there's other people that can also do that, and people do. And I just don't want you to feel like you're responsible for every single problem that is happening in the group. And every time someone's going through something, you do it when you can, you do it when you want to, when you're free. But I
yeah.
don't want that to become a burden to you because there's only so much one person can take. And as much as you might find comfort in helping other people, and I do as well, it's a lot, especially when you're trying to help yourself, a lot.
Yeah, as you said, you know, trying to do it on your own, I do
Yeah.
think that's the strongest way to do it. And
Hmm.
sometimes, you know, when they are alone and have to do it alone. But the thing
Yeah.
is like, if I see they're going through something, they're obviously
Hmm.
asking for help.
Of
You know
course.
what I mean? That there's difference between trying to do it on your own and then,
Hmm.
you know, actually reaching out. And it
I
takes
agree.
it
Yeah.
some people it takes a lot because, you know, you have your own experiences where, you know, people haven't been there for you, and especially if you reached out to someone who you thought was
Hmm.
supposed to be there for you, that's traumatic
Yeah.
in itself. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a slippery slope. Like my eyes hurt staring at the screen and just
Yeah.
being there for people, but like it makes me feel good. And
I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't focus on myself a lot, which is part of agoraphobia, just like avoiding my fear. I don't even really think about it too much,
Hmm.
which
I
makes it all
think.
that much scarier when I do. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
it's
yeah, I agree with you on that. It is traumatic, and that's why I refuse to, or I tried my best to not go to anybody or try to be there because I've been turned away by those that I thought I could go to, and I've been laughed at and treated like shit, and even had things that were become worse in that sense, in that specific situation happen. So yeah, it is traumatic, and I agree. If someone needs help, they reach out. They should always have that help there with them, because at some point, it does get to a point in your life where you could only take so much on your own and you reach your breaking point. And I've reached that over and over and over again, but I've somehow, some way, with the grace of God, that's how I like to put it, found my footing again, even if it is on my own. And I know I could continue to do that, but not everyone's like that. Some other people do need someone there, and it's always nice to have someone there. It doesn't matter what kind of person you are, it doesn't matter who you are. Having that extra help is great. So it is.
so I'm curious. Is there anything that helps you?
Yeah, actually, and I actually wrote this down too. If aside from my own faith in God, which is the biggest thing that helps me, and of course, just a constant need of wanting to do better for myself, my goals for the future to want to help other people and to one day become a psychologist in myself or like a therapist because I plan to beat this somehow, some way, and I also plan to help other people as well get through this so they don't have to suffer the way I did and as badly as I did. um Aside from all of that, it's mainly music that's really helped me. And there's a specific singer, oh well, he's technically like a rapper, his name's Fora. He makes some of the greatest and relatable music that I've ever listened to in my life. And, it's a mixture of singing and rap kind of thing. And he speaks about, real shit, real life things, real life hurt, real life pain, religion, sinning, all the way from heartbreak to just getting shot at on it himself. He also went through some stuff as well where, he got shot, I think, somewhere close to his neck, and he was in a drive-by shooting. He almost lost his life. Real life stuff for me that is extremely relatable, and I love his music for it. I love his lyrics, and his music and me finding his music has really saved, my sanity, and has saved me in a sense where like I listen to his music, I feel what I need to feel, and it really correlates with my life. And I'm like, damn, someone does understand. Someone might have not the exact same life as me, but someone can relate. And I'm like, wow, I finally found someone that can relate. And it also, you know, that kind of goes hand in hand with you guys as well. I'm in a group of people that suffer through anxiety, that suffer with OCD, that suffer with like, if I do this, I'm gonna die, or if I take this, I'm gonna hurt myself, or you know, me and you in the same way. We're like, we're scared to go outside, we're scared to be alone, little things in between, And I finally am trying to find my place where like I'm finding things that correlate with me, and one of these things is music, and the other thing is the group, because I never had anybody around me in my life that understood what I was going through. It was always, he's crazy, that's the end of it. So, or he's like a lost cause kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the group's helping you, and
Yeah.
it's hard, especially in our situation, to find things that do help because you would think how long we've been suffering. If there was
Hmm.
something, we would have already found it by now. So everything that you do find that is even a little bit helpful is like
Yeah.
massive.
It feels like such a big win when you find something, even if it's the littlest thing. And for me, it's been music. It's been the group. It's also been a couple of friends I have. One of my friends, her name's Alyssa. Such a great help, and it's also one of the people I met through like the game Call of Duty and stuff. But having that person there and seeing the good in other people, that has helped. But I don't. I'm still, working on not relying, going to her every second of the day and this and that, which is good. And I'm learning to talk to her one day. We text every other few days, or we call, catch up, this and that kind of thing. So having certain people to go to, or having conversation with people, helps. Music, and then also for me working out, because it really helps my anxiety. It helps me feel less stressed. I feel good in my own self, in my own body. And you know one of the jobs I did have in mind for when I am able to go out is, I want to be like a mover, because I the other day I was helping this one of my neighbors move into their house, and I haven't felt more alive to just move something.
Right.
I was like, wow, I'm in like someone else's house. I'm in their apartment. I'm going up to 4 flights of stairs, moving this big ass thing. Like, wow. Like I didn't think I could ever do that a year ago, but here I am. So
Big,
that's something that I also want to work to, and you have to be in good shape to do that. So
big
that's why
strong
I like working
man.
out. Yeah, big strong man.
And
So
I think it's
yeah,
important to try to do things on your own, but also,
yeah.
at least with your group, you know,
Hmm.
you do have us to fall back to. Hopefully, your friend Alyssa will be there for a long time, and your aunt, and
I I'm hoping so too. Yeah, and
but
just little things here and there. Yeah,
so.
and yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts? Is there anything else? I know I told you to write down some stuff. Is there anything we didn't get to?
Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna go check right now. Let's see.
Just
Let me
play a little
check.
music.
Yeah. Just anything you gotta do. Um, I would say. Let me see. I guess the other thing that's kind of helping me get through the days is just like, aside from the thought of doing good for myself and then for my future, but also just the knowledge of, if I get to the point where I need to be again, by continuously working and trying my best, I could see my son again. So that's also something that's keeping me going as well. And, things like that. And I did have one question for you as well. Yeah, I know you said you were agoraphobic for, you were going through it for 6 years now, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
So through the 6 years that you've, went through, where would you say felt like the biggest blur to you? Is it all of it? Is there like a specific point in time where you're like, damn, time flew by? It felt like, like a true blur kind of thing.
I would say most of it because, like, a year ago, I was able to beat it, which means I was able
Hmm.
to go places, but I still had
Oh
it,
wow.
and, you know,
Hmm.
I have it now, but I have hope now. So
Yeah.
since I beat it the first time and now, I've kind of been aware of everything that's happened.
Hmm.
But the first 4 years of just feeling like I was dying, every day kind of felt the same, and I would say
I feel that.
the first 4 years was just a big blur.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I get that, and I feel like it's kind of a blur when you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And it's hard, especially for us and just for anybody, just to have something to look forward to when you feel like you don't have a purpose, when you feel like you don't have goals, or your goals are, they're like, oh, I have them set in stone, but they're so far away. But I still feel like even through all of that, through all the doubts, through all this, fears and phobias and everything, I do feel like there's still hope, you know, for you, for myself, and for a lot of other people out there that are suffering through agoraphobia, anxiety, any other mental health issues and problems. And, I know not everybody has the same problems, and I know majority of people don't understand, that don't go through it themselves, but I think it is possible, and I think there is a way out of it. And I'm hoping that we can all find our way through it, no matter what it takes. And, no matter how hard it ends up being, I think there's a way through it. So I look forward to getting through it myself, and to seeing everybody else in the group and everyone else around me, or, whoever else is struggling as well, make it out. So kind of wait and see how that goes.
Well, to wrap it all up, you mentioned your last relationship was long distance. So it may seem virtually impossible, but
yeah,
I'm going to be there for you, man. And I'm not going to let you down.
That.
So,
I appreciate that a lot. And, like I said, I'm gonna let myself, figure it out, as well as obviously putting it in God's hands now to whatever happens and in my life. And I'm gonna control what I can control. And that's a big thing, trying to accept that there are going to be things in the world that are out of your control, and there's only so much you could do. But I'm going to control what I know I can, and at least take the steps that I feel like I need to take in my life. And I appreciate you, being there for me, as well as everybody in the group. I appreciate everything you've done for the group and for myself, and just to help everyone as much as you can. And I guess now, I know you're not religious, but at least for me, I'll put it in God's hands, and I'm going to keep doing what I got to do for me. And, whatever happens with, my most recent ex for the long distance thing, let it, so be it. Whether I meet someone else or not, so be it. But we continue on and we keep going. So,
what is meant to be will be.
Hey, I think that's true. I think no matter the time apart from someone, no matter the distance, no matter what, if something is truly meant to be, it'll be there. And I think also, if something is meant for you, it'll always come back, and I don't think you'll necessarily miss it. I think it'll be there for you at some point in time again. And if it's not, then it wasn't meant to be. So then you keep it going. So I'm going to let things work out the way they do, and see where the universe takes me, and see where I myself take me, because I want to keep it going. Because, as you know yourself, we've been the lowest of the low. We've been at the lowest points of our lives, and we've been through hell and back. Everyone has. So there's only one way out of it. Yeah, go up from there. Let's keep it going. So keep trying our best, because that's all we can do, one day at a time.
Sounds good, brother.
Yep.
I don't know if you have anything else, but if you don't.
Nope, I think we're good.
All right, dude.
I think that's longer than 15 minutes.
Hell yeah, we made it.
We did it. Hey, we did it.